Well, hello, it is Sarah Jane from Access Your True Nature. If you don't know me, I help people, kind people, and animals to resolve from trauma and unconscious patternings that keeps you stuck in a pattern of abuse so that you can rewrite your story, set yourself free, and live a happy, healthy life. And in today's topic, I want to speak to how do you stop yourself from that obsessive compulsive behavior of head tripping, where you just keep thinking about thinking, and the more you think, the more you worry, and the more that you worry, the more you worry about worry. And before you know it, you are actually creating problems that you didn't have in the first place, just to maybe prove that you're a great problem solver. So that's really what we're going to talk about today, is general anxiety or generalized anxiety. What is it? And if you're one of those people, like I said, that just can't stop thinking, or you're worrying about everything and overthinking things and Googling symptoms and giving yourself a sickness or an illness that you never had in the first place. So if you are struggling, listen in, because I want you to consider, firstly, always getting good support from a licensed professional that knows about trauma and anxiety, because generalized anxiety disorder is excessive worry that is termed as saying lasting for at least 6 months. And this leaves us feeling restless, on edge, you can't sleep, you've got brain fog, you can't concentrate, you're irritable. And if you have ever been in that place where it doesn't matter how much you stretch, you've got so much tension in your muscles that your body is just aching. And of course, the one that I really know the most is struggling to get a good night's sleep, insomnia or broken sleep. So just know that all this anxiety and worry can lead you to feeling these kind of symptoms where your biography becomes your biology. So in other words, when you change your story, everything changes. And we are doing this by rewiring your nervous system. And this for me was all based on a lot of things in my life, which led me to a place where I had a breakdown. And you can read all about that on my 90-day Out of the Blues system, which is a home study program. And just remember, most of this is formed pre-7-year-old, and I go back to say your 3-year-old, pre-3-year-old brain. You've already decided the world is not a safe place and that you need to worry in order to keep yourself safe, which doesn't get you anywhere except in symptoms of exhaustion and chronic fatigue and IBS and all these other coping mechanisms that keep you stuck in it. So just remember, in children, this tends to present more in worry about competence, how they're faring in school or in tests or in their peer group or in their sport performance. The quality of it is always top of mind for them. And I know my healing, because we are complete holistic bodies, and you can heal it on an emotional or mental level. But if your body hasn't processed it, we find ourselves back there or with a temporary band-aid. And I'm looking for permanent change so that you can create your own safety. So just remember that the challenge is always in looking at what is underneath the thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And you can't do that when you're in a high state of anxiety or worry. You can't see it when you're in it. So just be patient with yourself. This is why the training is so important in doing the inner work. And you can get very good results with this. CBT is another one that's really good at it. Somatic experiencing is another one. And, another thing that I always prefer not to go through in my use of being your own medicine or using nature as medicine, but there's no shame on going on an SSRI or an antidepressant or a sleeping pill for a short time to get you out of the chronic condition so that you can actually do the work. So if you're not coping and you might need it, there's no shame in it. Take it and just know it's temporary. It's just for a while. And of course, the biggest way that you can get sustainable changes is lifestyle changes. Are you eating live, well-balanced, densely packed nutrients that are alive food? Are you drinking too much coffee or alcohol because you're not sleeping and it's the only way that you can knock yourself out? Are you getting enough exercise and movement? Are you practicing mindfulness and meditation so that you can better manage the anxiety or the depression symptoms that you're worrying about? It's the simple practices that we covered in the 7-day belief challenge, like hydrating enough. And I know it's not always easy because these coping mechanisms and habits run very, very deep. They're addictions because we're addicted to the suffering. And it's something that I see a lot of people struggle with. And the sooner that you get help and acknowledge, remember, you can't change what you don't acknowledge, and you have to feel in order to heal. So if this resonates with you, if you'd like to hear more about this, go check out the Out of the Blues process in my website. I have lots of free resources and tools right here on my Facebook page and on my other channels like YouTube and SoundCloud. So go and have a look at those. And then just, I want to really address also this other aspect of this, which is, this overthinking habits where you can't stop thinking about old events that are just maybe entering even into your dream state, or things that are coming up in your mind where you actually can't even focus on the tasks at hand. You can't even be present because it's running your life. And the first thing I always like to ask my clients is, who would you be without the distraction of worry or the obsessive compulsive thinking or the eating disorder or the workaholism or the other coping mechanisms? Because when it goes away, your nervous system thinks that because that's no longer running your life, that it's death. It's not just death to the old story, it's death to the physical body. And the nervous system is always going to do what it can to keep you alive. So ask yourself, what is the reward here? Or what is the punishment to continue to stay in this pattern of overthinking, to not be able to be fully present to enjoy what is working in your life? So take a look at that and do a brain dump, write it down on paper, or go speak to somebody like me, or a friend that's got your back, that's can do the open, compassionate listening, and also do this dance of back and forth. I love Byron Katie's The Work, where she says, is this true? And if you get a yes, look at what is the value of the reward system in keeping this old pattern of addiction going for yourself, and get really honest with yourself. Because most of the time when you're addicted to thinking, you don't even know that you're addicted to thinking, because that's just your standard operating procedure. So having somebody that can show that to you, reflect that back to you, is always a great place to go. And looking at, who would you be without the thought is really an attachment to the ego. Remember, you're not the thoughts, you're the one that thinks the thought. You're the one that worries. You are not the warrior. So remember that the I am is the attachment to thinking that takes you out of being present. And that's why I love using my trust process, because it is a state of no thinking. It's just the space of infinite possibility. And I use this with animals and people because it is so quick and fast to come down into this place of no thought, and come down off this hyper aroused state of being. So, check out the trust process. It's probably the best gift you could give yourself, to your children, to your animals, to your partners. If you want to deepen into right relationship, have a look at that and look at how can you fully trust, well, in the absence of fear. So if you're always afraid of a consequence, of a punishment, or a reward where you're thinking you're not worthy of having whatever it is that's showing up in your life, that might be a great clue for you to actually go into deeper inquiry, ask more generative questions, see who is the right person that is in resonance with what you're asking for to show up and help you. That's why I do this work, because I know that probably one of the most debilitating times that I ever was in was feeling alienated and alone, or isolated, or too ashamed to ask for help or admit that I was feeling depressed. We want to get you to a state where you can be with whatever is coming up into the light. This is the illuminating the shadows. There's so many dark gifts available to you when you do the shadow work. And there's lots of ways that you can do that with me, and there's lots of ways that you can do that with other people. So find someone that is resonant with your ask and go there and see what is available to you to get you from this place of total trust. Worry is just prayer in reverse. It doesn't get you anywhere. It's like, why is not a very good question. So if you just push pause on the world and you enter into a state through meditation, through mindfulness, through walking your dog or stroking your cat, or just being with the discomfort a little bit longer than you're used to, you're going to find that these thoughts where the ego wants to be in control of its identity, then you can let go of all the thoughts, reasons, and justifications of why you think you can't let go of that. So often I find that once we get this part right, this is where the spontaneous healings happen, because we do get attached, right? Maybe you got attention, whether that was good attention or bad attention as a child, for creating this sense of high anxiety. And when you can look at that and grow your child parts, and be the voice of wisdom and kindness and mothering energy, when you can nurture and grow your child parts up from that space, everything changes, and you'll find you'll have more energy, more vitality to stay in the present, enjoy and appreciate what is available to you, what's working in your life, rather than looking for what's wrong with your life. And you'll realize just how much energy you were leaking out in useless worry. Okay, so that's it. If you resonate with this, give me a like, give me a share, post your comments and questions below. If you know somebody that is looking for this, please share it, because the more of us that bring this forward, and the more that we're speaking to this and mental health from a place of empowerment, the more we get to create a world that we want, which is one that is sustainable and thrives on love, not destruction from fear and lack and scarcity and anger and all those other heavy distractor implants. All right, that's it. Have a good day. Bye.